Welcome, welcome, brothers, welcome, sisters, welcome to our program On Target. And as usual, as soon as we start this program, and this is the first for the year 2023, we encourage you to pick up the telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything: politics, religion, socioeconomic issues, any topical issue of the day. We like to express our opinion on politics. We fear no subject matter. Our opinions is not cast in stone. It's based upon the information we have and our own prejudice. So if we find new information, we change in our opinion. We like to speak the truth. But sometimes people on the radio and they're speaking out of script, and they may say things that is not absolutely correct. You can always give us a call immediately or tomorrow and correct us. Because we believe that we have the answer to the challenges in this country. We must sit and discuss it genuinely and change our attitude and address the challenges we have. And caller, welcome. You're the first for 2023. We welcome you.
Afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
And thank God for spending life so you could come back on a program for the year 2023.
Thank you.
So you take care and hang in there.
Thank you, and that means quite
all the thanks and praise for our country that we're going through so much at this stress already. But say what, the Lord knows best.
Yes, thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, and the year started up pretty quiet. In most communities, it was pretty quiet. The whole Christmas season, there was not much any serious incident, although we had two other than 2 or 3 accidents, I may say. One, it seems, just before the year end, was somebody drowned in a swimming, some incident in they got drowned. And then we had 2 women that we heard got killed in accident. Obviously, accidents will be a challenge for us this year and coming, because over the last 10, 12 years, we doubled the amount of vehicles we have in Grenada. It's not no witchcraft, it's not no OBI, it's nothing. It's the fact that we double the amount of vehicles that we have, and more, we tend to be a very aggressive people. And we're reflecting that in our driving. The drivers have to tone down. They have to remember to obey the rules and drive as much as possible within the speed limit. That is what caused an accident. I think it was in 2017. The police said it was an act of disrespect. People are not respectful on the road. You know, they have no patience and no tolerance. And that would be a contributing factor to accidents. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Happy New Year's.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Pierre, I just want to, 2 observation and big Ghana. I want to hear your take on that. We Grenada gained independence in 7th February 1974.
Yeah.
The objective, I think, was to be independent and to move away from the monarchy. Am I right?
Yes, all that could work, yeah.
All right. But what I notice, I see the Prime Minister, the opposition leader, and all the parliamentarians swearing in and say, I pledge allegiance to Her Majesty the Queen and her heirs and successors and all that. What do you take on that, Mr. Pierre? Have a good evening.
Yes, thank you, caller. We got independence, and we had some measure political independence from Britain. But we maintain the monarchy and the Queen as the head of our country. So when we swear, we are not swearing allegiance to the country, to Grenada, we swear to the Queen. For over 40 years, attempt has been made to amend the Constitution to change that, and Grenadians rejected it. In the last 2 terms of the government, I think, every effort was made to amend the Constitution. To amend the Constitution in Grenada, you have to have 2/3 of the people in the lower house. 2/3 of the parliamentarians have to win the seat, have to vote for it. And we have to have 2/3 of the people voting. If you want to change a dot in the Constitution, that is the procedure. It is extremely difficult. It is extremely difficult to get that two-thirds if you don't have bipartisan cooperation. If the two main opposition and the trade union don't agree, it is not easy to get that done. So in the meantime, we rejected it, and we must respect the democratic will of our people. So we have to continue to pledge allegiance to the king. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre, and
Yes, my
Happy New
sister.
Year to you.
Thank you very much.
I want to take the opportunity to express condolences to the family of the late Miss Monica Sears. I saw her on TV, and that was one of our ardent listeners, and I believe she's partaking in the program sometime. She always referred to Mr. Donald as her son. So to her husband and her immediate family and all the others around, we say be strong and God is good. And I also want to say condolences to the family of Mr. Nayak, family of Lafayette. That man used to be walking around Grenville with this big afro. And it is sad, Mr. Pierre, that as far as I understand that somebody bunks the man accidentally while reversing. And up to now, the person never really came forward. I believe they said they gave him a number, but, they never answered, and they didn't. Up to this time, they don't know who did such an act. It is an accident, and I do hope that they find it in their heart to maybe seek forgiveness. And to the family, I say be strong. Mr. Nayak could be laid to rest in Dunfermline today. He was a really good friend of the business around Grenville. And to all of the other Grenadians who would have lost our loved ones, this young lady who joined in the fall, she's from Apwitut. We say be strong, God is good, and I wish everyone a good, successful, and prosperous New Year. Have a great day, Mr. Pierre, and thank you.
Yes, and thank you for that softer side of us. I always highly appreciate your call because sometimes it brings out the softer side in us. We have to perhaps take a second look at how our attitude to the elderly in Grenada. I think more and more we have been very rough on the elderly, very disrespectful to the elderly, very lackadaisical and don't care to the elderly. And bearing in mind that we are a Christian society, very religious, is almost a paradox and unfortunate, the dismissive way we treat the elderly. I can't stop from mentioning the 15 or 16 or 17 people from the home in St. Patrick's that died. It was in the heart of the COVID-19. And although it was loud and clear that the older people and people with compromised immunity are the more likely to die from COVID-19, that did not reach the young people. The younger people seems as if they wanted to shoot two birds with one stone, as if they wanted somebody elderly to die. And irrespective of all the crime, and irrespective of the fact that the government was taking the lead and instruction from the World Health Organization, PAHO, and the medical doctors in Grenada, that was advising people, be cautious, because the older ones are the ones that will be most susceptible and die from the disease. You are young and strong, going to recover, but the sick one among you going to die. And the attitude of a lot of leaders in the country, politicians, civic leaders, trade union leaders, they didn't care one hoot. Some of the statements made of the elderly, it's frightening. And I guess I'm in a good position to talk about how the elderly feel. Even somebody dance hall now, somebody elderly will keep away from it because they're afraid to disrespect the young ones. And if you bounce them, you could disrespect them. And if they bounce you, they still turn back and say, don't diss me. So you find a lot of the elderly people tend to keep away. Anytime you have a function, perhaps in the church or in the monarch or in other places, there are a few other places that from time to time might have an opportunity for the elderly to socialize. And you would see them coming out in droves. But they tend to keep away from the regular party place because of the level of hostility. Even some farmers we must not forget. 3 farmers were beaten up in the land. They were stoned. They wasn't beaten up, they were stoned. But one from St. Patrick's received life-threatening cuts in his land. The last time I spoke to him, he told me he think even the police and all forget him. So we tend to have a very disrespectful attitude. We had one gentleman who left the home, and a few women, I understand, make a little look for him. But they didn't bother much, because I guess they say he's an old man, so they don't worry. They never get him. Imagine a man 70-something years move away from a home, and they never bet it. There was no big hue and cry in Grenada. Maybe only a token of concern, and some of the women in the area perhaps made a look around for him. But I've not seen or felt any genuine attempt to find this man over 70 years. And there's a lot of incidents in the community that is perhaps frightens the elderly one in a corner. If you investigate some of the homes, people put their parents and the elder ones in a home, and they don't even stick to the agreement. And that ought not to be. Grenada have the most home for the age in the region. And that shouldn't be, because Grenada have the most landowners. So it means a lot of people in home have property, where they are disposed of and placed in a home. Even in the field of politics, the disparaging and dismissive remarks I heard about the elderly is practically unacceptable. So it is not, when you see these things in the society, you ought to be concerned. You could hear us on Style Radio, FM 92.9, Real FM 91.9. We on Facebook page, Real FM Facebook page, and my Facebook page, Francis Pierre on Target, and also on YouTube. And we always give you the opportunity to call. Over the last couple of hours, I got a post from John Galt kept miss. She became more active in my life after I spoke about her. She's 39 years old. She was one of the people in the meeting that they told by January they would receive letters that they have to stay home. She's an Imani. And John Galt became very concerned, because I guess if he's kept miss, losing her job is more financial strain on him. Very pessimistic and conservative. So that would anger him. But I had the opportunity to speak to her, because I said to her, whenever you get your letter, you must give me. Because I like when I speak, to speak with a level of authority and have the courage of my own conviction. So she spoke to me. She didn't get any letter, but she sent me a Christmas greeting. And she said she think I should read it on the program. And I decided to read it. So just for maybe a minute, I'll try to do a little reading. I'm not so good at it. You can have flaws, be anxious, and even be angry, but do not forget that your life is the greatest enterprise in the world. Only you can stop it from going bust. Many appreciate you, admire you, and love you. Remember that to be happy is not to have the sky without a storm, a road without accidents, work without fatigue, relationship without disappointments. To be happy is to find strength in forgiveness, hope in battles, security in stage of fear, love in discard, It is not only to enjoy the smile, but also to reflect on sadness. It is not only to celebrate the successes, but to learn lessons from the failure. It is not only to feel happy with the applause, but to be happy in anonymity. Being happy is not a fatality of destiny, but an achievement for those who can travel within themselves. To be happy is to stop feeling like a victim and become your destiny's author. It is to cross deserts, yet to be able to find an oasis in the depths of our soul. It is to thank God for every morning, for the miracle of life. Being happy is not to be afraid of your own feelings. It is to be able to talk about you. It is having the courage to hear a no. It is confidence in the face of criticism. Even when unjustified, it is to kiss your children, pamper your parents, to live poetic moments with friends, even when they hurt us. To be happy is to let live the creature that lives in us, free, joyful, and simple. It is to have maturity to able to say, I made mistake. It is to have the courage to say, I am sorry. It is to have the sensitivity to say, I need you. It is to have the ability to say, I love you. May your life become a garden of opportunities for happiness. That in spring may it be a love of joy. In winter, a love of wisdom. And when you make a mistake, start all over again. For only then will you be in love with life. You will find that to be happy is not to have a perfect life, but to use the tears to irrigate tolerance. Use your losses to train patience. Use your mistake to sculpture serenity. Use pain to plaster pleasure. Use obstacles to open windows of intelligence. Never give up. Never give up on people who love you. Never give up on happiness, for life is an incredible show. She sent me that, and below it was written from Pope Francis. So I thought it was such an interesting piece of reading, and she asked me to share it because she may not call. She is not the type of person who wanted to call, but I like it. So I read it for you. I do hope that something in it might touch you as it touched me. That is 2023. It's a new year, and a lot of us have to thank God we make it. If you're listening to this program, it means you have made it. But you must also pray for those who did not make it. It is a good and wholesome thing to pray for those who have gone to the great beyond, those who died. It's a good and wholesome thing to pray for them. The Bible said that. And almost everybody in the Bible that was raised from the dead, they didn't ask to be raised from the dead. The reality is the family and the people interceded on their behalf. So it's a good thing for the living to pray for the dead. Because the dead can pray for themselves, the dead. But they say it's a good and wholesome thing to pray for the dead. During this period of the Christmas, we do hope that all of us heart is softened. Because Christmas is really about hope and love and faith and peace. And it's a process, it's an ongoing process. Every 25th, the highlight is there. But you're supposed to be rejuvenated enough so you could continue the process for Grenada to be a more peaceful country. We have to be proud of what we have in Grenada. Sometimes we're not proud enough of our country. Electricity, telephone, water, and internet is second to none in the region, better than most and comparable with the best. We have one of the best network of roads in the country. And over the last 10, 12 years, we increase the amount of vehicles we have. We double the amount of vehicles we have. Now we have to be concerned about that repercussions because you have a greater level of accidents. But it shows people have income. They have discretionary income that they can spend. And we must be thankful of that. Our schools in Grenada, this teacher to children ratio is about 1 to 15. So the schools are not overpopulated. We have enough teachers and we have enough imam. Our teachers are better trained today than any other time in our history. They are better paid, they are better trained, and they have better facilities. Over 20% of our teachers drive themselves to school. So what are we complaining about? We still need to warn them that the productivity level is unacceptable. 70% of the children that exit school cannot meet the basic requirement. And this is happening, this is causing the same repercussions in the society. Repercussions. Because when you leave school and you don't have the basic, you don't reach the basic requirement, you are not competitive on the job market. Government is the biggest employer in Grenada. And when you have high unemployment, and already government is the biggest employer, there is immense pressure on the politician to create jobs. Because there is a direct relationship based upon the exports. There is a direct relationship between high unemployment and social decadence and violence in our society. Jamaica ends the year with perhaps more than 1,600 people losing their life. Trinidad, a significant number. St. Lucia, over 70. St. Vincent, over 40. Small countries like us, the amount of people that losing their life as a result of violence is too much. And I believe there is a direct relationship between unemployment and increased violence. A direct relationship between our attitude to the marginalized in our country. I see it in Jamaica so clear. A direct relationship between how we treat the marginalized. And more in Grenada, if we continue on that trajectory with our attitude to the marginalized, our attitude to the people in the lower socioeconomic group, our insensitivity to the elderly in our society, we're going to have spiraling violence. We must not take what we have for granted. We must work to preserve it or improve it. We end the year with a lot of people wasn't so hopeful because they lost their job. I do hope that this government, the National Democratic Congress, seriously look at the direction they're going. Now, government set the pace in a country. Government set the pace, and the private sector take the cue from the government. In Grenada, government set the pace, not the private sector. Our private sector is generally a family private sector. When the originals reach a stage where they are incapacitated and they die, more often than not, the business die with them. Because we don't have the culture of generational wealth and children involved in making more. So take what the parents have, work with them and make more. Parents sick. Our children are better educated than parents, generally. They have more opportunities to have better education. But whatever small business that they have, the children don't join to expand the business. So they are not able to increase what they have. So that we could practically describe our private sector as a lazy private sector. The private sector in Grenada cannot answer the call to solve the unemployment problem. And that is why governments have invested so heavily in tourism, in trying to attract foreigners to invest in the tourist industry. It's not that Grenadians couldn't do it, but we don't have the culture of serious investment. Even the individuals who are better educated, they are very cowed where taking risk is concerned. They will build a nice house. They will buy a car too. And when they end up in financial trouble, they try to rent downstairs. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon,
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Tepe, Happy New Year to you and the Real FM family. And all the callers that called the year passed by. I want to say to walk to the callers and those who lost a job. That is not the end of life. As what I can say, when man closes a door upon you, God will open many doors for you. So be strong, be courageous, and be of good faith. God will lift you up in life. I want to say, for Grenada could be a better place, but what we have to do, we have to change our attitude towards one another. Right? And don't see like some people important, some people don't important. Everyone important. Because even those who live in the city clean, it is important for the rich. It is important for the middle class. It is important for everyone. Those who might do the ordinary work, it is also important for them. Because when they are sleeping, they're outside there at night, watching over the country to protect the business place. So this trip is important. Is important. So we got to treat everyone as important, and not some as some. So, Mr. have a blessing.
Thank you. Yes, and that is a very important comment. Now, government set the template in Grenada. They set the standard, and the private sector take lead from the government. And this is why I express concern when I see government doing certain things. Because it means the private sector is watching the government like a hawk. And the government may do it for political mischief, but the private sector do it for economic rewards. Very important thing for us to know. The private sector more often than not don't care about political mischief. They care about economic rewards. But when they see government practicing political mischief and people are losing their job as a result of that, the private sector get an opportunity to fire you for economic reasons. So let us suppose they believe that you're not as productive as they could be, or they have to bring in another person, they get rid of you. And remember, our businesses in Grenada are family business. If you remove the SGU, all the small businesses are family business. So if they know government could fire people willy-nilly, then the private sector could do the same thing. We have to be very concerned about that. Sometimes when you speak about government, people automatically jump up and believe you have anything personal with government. But government takes the lead. Government set the lead. The trade union is the watchdog. But Grenada Trade Union only watch their members. They don't care about people who are not unionized. Even if these people are paying them agency fee, they don't consider them in the bargaining unit. So even when they lose their job and they are getting agency fee, the union don't care. So we're in a very dangerous area. Because I have said before, and I'm starting the year with it, government has incorporated political victimization as part of their policies. Now, no other government post 1983 has done that. None. All governments has been accused for political mischief and the government denied. But this government incorporated it as part of the policies. So it means that the private sector going to use this opportunity for economic reasons. And people is going to lose jobs. If somebody in a position and go and question the boss about increased salary, the boss will just fire him. See, I'm working with you long. I'm working with you 15 years. Now the private sector before would have been seriously daring and challenged to fire somebody that working 15 years. But now they know government fire people are working with them 17 years. So if they go and ask about increasing salary and they start to make noise, that head of the private sector most likely would fire them. A good reason to fire them is for economic reasons. And this is why I say what the government does, it is a disaster for low-income workers. During the year, you're going to hear me constantly take issue with the budget. The budget that the government presents have some people in Grenada laughing and smiling. And some perhaps don't understand yet how disastrous the budget is for them. And I will be pointing out some areas from my perspective. Now, take a simple one. Prior to the election, the government advocated one of their big policy was that they would make people permanent. And one of the reasons they advanced is that these people would be able to go to the bank and get a loan. The Prime Minister said, and I'm not quoting him here, words to the effect that the initiatives that was done by the previous government, he applauded, but it is not enough. But he said that they would make the workers permanent, so the workers would be able to get loans in the financial institution. Now, the fact that the government did not make the worker permanent is not so bad, you know. But the government went on and fired, gotten rid of people who was working between 4 and 17 years. The union said 18, but the last information I had was 17. 17 years with government. So the government practically unraveled any iota of confidence that the financial institution would have in these people. Now, you could have gone to the bank and say, I'm working with the government 9 years on, and I'm on contract. But the reason I'm on contract is because of the present status with the pension. And government might have add in the job letter whether this person would be fired. They say, no, this person is on contract, but the government is likely to renew the contract constantly. Now, the trade union call these people temporary permanent. They're always in the system, but it was not on contract. But they're always in the system. Temporary permanence. Now, the National Democratic Congress is the first government, the only government, post-93, that went and fired these people. So some of these people that used to go and get loan, the banks now would be wary, because you cannot use the argument of longevity in the service, because the government come in and fire people 15 and 17 years. The government unravel any iota of confidence that the banks would have in temporary permanent people, as the unions would call it. This is a serious economic crime. What the government has done to people in this lower income group, I call it an economic crime. Now, without the government interfering A lot of them could have built case and go to the bank and go to the credit union. And they would have been ably supported by permanent secretaries and letters of the government, stating that we have them on permanent, on contract, based upon a policy decision, but we have no intention of firing unless they're dead or they're really insubordinate. And the history does not show that. So what this government come and do, they unravel the very confidence of the financial institution. Remember, the banks don't generally like these people. The bank don't like you. You're working for under $3,000 a month, and you have children and etc. And by the time the bank calculate the money you have, you're living by the skin of your teeth. The bank don't like it. The bank also believe that it's small loans these people go for. A $10,000, a $20,000, a $15,000, a $7,000, small loan. The paperwork involved alone is not attractive. But if the government argued we're going to make them permanent, it would practically force the financial institution's hand to give you a loan. So even the government didn't make it permanent, the banks and the credit unions would have said, well, they won't fire them. But the government, they shocked the system in. The Deacon Mitchell government, they shocked the system. By firing these people, you practically undermine the possibilities of confidence for years to come. I don't know if they're stupid, if they're bad-minded, if they didn't know, or if it is just political virgins in the economic situation. But that is what they did. You don't have to believe me on that. If you could corner one of the senior people in the bank or anybody that working long in the bank, working 5-6 years in the bank, ask them. If you could corner anybody in the credit union of some level, ask them. Anybody in the Ministry of Finance, ask them. The banks generally don't like this group of people. They believe there will be greater fallout in loan payments. They have a terminology for it, but I can't remember. And these people don't go for big loans. They want a $10,000. So the paperwork and the negotiation alone is exhausting for the bank. And they have to get lawyers to make, etc. The government come in. They argued forcefully. And that is one of the reasons they advance your ability to get loan in the bank. And the government rattle the very confidence of the financial institution. Sometimes I'm sorry for them. And this is why I call them political virgins. Because why was it necessary for you to do that? First of all, it was not necessary to fire these people because you met a pregnant Ministry of Finance. Not only a pregnant Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Finance is on a high. They're very productive. So when you find a very productive ministry, they're more likely to be a think tank to help you solve problems. The government came and undermined what people take years to build. Confidence. The confidence the financial institutions might have had to dare to provide assistance for people in the lower economic grouping. If you remember, the government argued restlessly that the people who work as Imani was working for slave pay. And during the course of my discourse with you, I'm going to say to you, nothing is further from the truth. Nothing is further from the truth. People who work in the function in e-money, as far as I know, obtain between $7,000 and $1,500. It could be more, but that is what I know. And I only like to speak about what I know. And I'm going to tell you what people in Hubbard's working for. Huggins, Steele, what the child women and them in St. George's University for, and what some own government workers working for. And I'm going to make comparison with the Imani salary. And then you're going to understand. You may understand. A lot of Grenadians like status jobs. They like to say, I'm working in a big firm in town. They like to say that. It doesn't mean that they're making plenty money. Then you're going to understand that some people prefer to stay in the money than to go and work in the bank. During my course, I'm going to speak to you about these issues. For you to have a clearer understanding, the damage that this government has done to confidence between the financial institution and workers, particularly those making under $3,000 that don't have a permanent job. The government has damaged confidence. The bank is very liquid. When we say they're liquid, they have real money. The credit union is very liquid. They have money. Almost every financial institution in Grenada is very liquid. The first time any government come into power and report liquidity in the government is now. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hello, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Good afternoon. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
And Happy New Year to you listeners and good day. Mr. Pierre, on social media platform, I have seen several photos of the Honorable Senator Gloria Thomas and Honorable Minister Delma Thomas. They've been giving out toys in SAB, Mr. Pierre. I think that's a very good move. That's the way we need to go. We need to unify the politics. Because in Parliament, she did spoke about working together with the government. And now I see that yesterday in that live where they was giving out handbags and books to children. I think that's a very good move, Mr. Pierre. We must give both of them praises for working together. And last thing I want to say is the Prime Minister was in Mount Chichi yesterday as well. And I saw he and ex-minister for St. Patrick's West, they was hugging each other. I think that's a very good move, Mr. Pierre. That's the way we need to go as a people, as Grenadians. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, caller.
Yes.
Caller, the NNP, that is part of the philosophy. There is room in the house. And the NNP always open their arms to you. The problem with this country is the NDC militant attitude. Remember, the Prime Minister on losing election, the ex-Prime Minister Keith Mitchell, called Dick Mitchell and congratulate him. And even joke around and say, don't take anything personal. Dick Mitchell mentioned that he did not initiate the conversation. When Dick Mitchell said that, he was telling his supporters, we want you to work together. As you saw the Prime Minister hugging Dick Mitchell in Parliament, and Dick Mitchell made no attempt to respond. You heard Peter David begging them, plant your seed, but don't cut down the trees and the bearing fruit. You heard Miss Modest offering them to work together. So what you see going on is natural. Delma is extending to them what they was begging them all the time to do. Come, let us work together. And Bosun went and hugged him too. And if you see it's Bosun that hugging him, it's not he that hugging him. He must be saying in his mind, he don't even want Bosun hugging. Caller, the NNP always try to be inclusive. Remember Tobias in the house. When he left NNP in his first interview, and they asked him if he's going to join NDC, he was hesitant. He didn't know because he said the NDC is not an inclusive party. So the NNP is begging NDC. And I think all these overthrows are made them by different ranks of NNP, begging them. We don't want to, what you're going to do to the public, to the rank and file at the lower level, going to cause fracture in the society. The NDC seems that they want to drag some NNP in the street. They want to lock up Kit Mitchell. They want to lock up Emlyn Pierre. They want to lock up some. That is the word that are going around. You hardly could speak to a member of the National Democratic Congress if they don't call you stupid or dunce or dotish. Sometimes when they bounce me up, they say this thing and then they watch me and they might believe because of my height, I might have a briefcase or certificate like them. So they say you're singing for your supper. This is the normal pattern of the NNP. Remember the NDC fire 10 people in 2008 and NDC hold them. They say, come. Peter David say he have never seen so much love among people that he battled with. So we hope that the NDC would change their attitude. And if they want to show that they appreciate the initiative constantly taken by NNP members, rescind the letters. The people they fire in Karakou and Paul's and the road wardens, rescind the letters. Ask the Minister of Labor, stop fighting the road wardens. She was wrong. It appears that she either had some phone or whatever she was doing and they charged her for a traffic offense. And she out for vengeance to get them. Tell her stop laugh when people lose their job. And I think Delma and Boson and Miss Modeste and Peter David and Kit Mitchell and all the others, they're just begging them. This country is too beautiful for you to cause it to decree. So I'm not surprised by the actions at Delma. I'm not surprised at the action. This is NNP always. Let's work together. Kit Mitchell said, we have enough thing to fight about when politics come. Come, let's work together. I do hope that this Christmas would soften the hearts of the National Democratic Congress. And I don't want to hear them say it. I want to see it in practicality. When they receive the letters of the women in Karakou and the women of Paul's at the fire, and the faith workers pay them because all your drama routine. And let us work together. There is no need to victimize people. If the NDC incorporate victimization as part of the policy, what you're going to see, these things you see, what's going to happen in the ministry is worse. Would they give scholarship to loudmouth NNP children? Would they appoint them as teachers? Would they promote them in the ministries? You see, color in tongue long. I know what went on in the revolution. The revolution sent the children of the proletariats to study certain subjects. They sent the children of the patriotic bourgeoisie to study to be certain professions. They refused to train others. They refused to train some of the petty bourgeois children. They say, you're not a patriotic bourgeois, so we wouldn't change you. And some of the militant gay, they refuse to train them. That is those that was in the public service. They didn't jail them, but they refused to train them. They refused to promote them in the work. They refused to promote some principals in schools. And the schools that had principal that the revolution was not satisfied with, they sent others to undermine them. The revolution had a team of teachers demonstrating against the union. Color, the NNP always begging NDC, let's work together. You remember Peter David had invited Tillman Thomas in activity in Lyoguara. It always is the NDC that have this hard politics. Bitter. Listen to some of the extremes in the NDC. They say, we the good people of St. Patrick's. All in parliament, we the good people. My partner, Willie, we the good people. They're making noise on RealFM. Willie and all get radicalized. One strategic expert and public policy analyst in the whole OECS, he turned radicalized. We the good people. So it's the NDC that need to change. These overtures that you see by NNP ministers and other people, it seems to shock you because you're all accustomed with that. This is a small country. I have my program on the radio. It's what people don't say. I have to remind them that I'm in Tonglong and I understand these things. And you could give me a call. The number to call is 442-0175, and you could express your issues and needs. Grenada is a small country. We have to be careful with the political divide. If the National Democratic Congress continue to victimize people, there would come a stage when Delma would give up. There would come a stage when Bosun would give up. There will come a stage when NNP would give up. And they may go on the WAPA too. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes,
ma'am. Just saying good afternoon to you and a happy new year, and I welcome you back again. It is a breath of fresh air just listening to you. You edifying us so much what is going on with you. As I say, you're in the vessel. We will be well educated what is going on. Thank you. Thank you for telling us everything, and I listen to you every day. God bless you, and welcome back again. You have a nice day. God bless you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you, and I highly appreciate your call because I like the call, you know. And I think it's very important for us to understand. I had a moment with a young man over the weekend, and I have to say to him, you and I are same family. Because he was so upset, and I advised him not to listen to my program. I said, hold up, listen to my program for a while, because it seems as though this truth that I speak, you're trying to shake it out. And if you continue listening to the program, I'm going to tie the truth on you. Because we have listened to so much of propaganda, so much of truths made in the lab. They make the truths. And a lot of people consume the propaganda that they put out. And they believe it's true. So the National Democratic Congress have to understand. When you practice your victimization in the community, you go break up the community like a cricket. Delma must be extremely concerned. She come out in a community, the village of Moncton. You have a lot of young men in that community. She have fought hard to try to bring activities to this community and training. She don't want to see it mash up. So she begging NDC. That's why she begging you. Try to work together. Don't fire the people. These people are not wealthy people. Remember, the reason that they were employed where they were employed is because government is trying to alleviate some of the social pressure and tension on them. They don't have jobs. So the government come and make a job where over 3,000 people are employed in it. That is the Imani program. That is the Imani program that the NDC fight on for about 15 years. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre,
Yes, caller, welcome.
have you had any feedback from that young lady in St. Patrick? That husband went to Trinidad and she was threatening to commit suicide because she had no job and she had quite a few kids. Any feedback on that?
No. The one, not the one I spoke about.
You said the husband was a guana and he's going
Yeah, but she didn't threaten to commit suicide.
going to get fired.
No.
Whatever happened to her?
No, she there. She's satisfied. She said she not committed. No. She's solid. She don't bother.
So the husband is in Trinidad.
Yeah, the husband gone, man. The husband going Trinidad.
So she lost him.
Well, she lose him. She was worried, and she tell me the saddest part after he go, she believe he vote for Yellow. She says she sister catch him jumping up when Yellow win.
So she survived and she's doing okay.
Yeah, she gonna survive. Women is stronger than we think. You know, she was.
So it was not true that she was going to be devastated and she was going to be in
Of
a bad
course,
shape.
if you have 3 children, and then you have another young man and you have 2 children with him and you like him, and you're pregnant again, so you're on your 6th child, and that guy have to leave, it must be heartbreaking. But no woman, a woman don't walk away from 6 children. That is what you have to understand about women.
Yeah, but was it an exaggeration that you were saying that it was so bad?
I was putting it lightly. Chief,
right.
Believe it or not, I was putting it lightly. I was putting it very lightly. Yeah, it's not an exaggeration. I was putting it lightly. And there are other cases, but I wouldn't mention them because some of them don't have the fortitude and they don't come and explain it to me, as this one did. So I was putting it lightly, my brother. Yes. Now you're going to have these issues that is why I was challenging Willie to come up to investigate the one in Moya. Sometimes when you speak about these cases, people think it's joke. So I was challenging Willie because I asked the daughter, the woman is 77 years old, her daughter is green, and the mere fact that they said she had to re-register, when the daughter went to re-register her, they say they have to come to visit her. And the daughter was extremely worried, knowing that the NDC like to fire, remove some of these old people from the seed program. And I always dare them and challenge them to take me on, because in 2008, they removed 5 from Paraclete. So the daughter was concerned. I think I heard it's a normal thing for them to have re-registration, but normally, because the National Democratic Congress have been targeting the green people for victimization, it become of greater concern. And I only speak about the cases that I could speak openly about. You see, when I speak about this one, I beg Willie to come right in Moya. If you want the girl name, I'll give you a phone number. And I spoke to her. She says she's willing to be extra liberal with him on information. She will give him information about your whole family, because she don't want them to remove the mother from getting $450. She would even tell him when the mother used to work on the estate, and she would tell him what time that they get rid of them on the estate. You know, there was a period when the National Democratic Congress get rid of people on the estate. But she did not pay enough money to benefit under NIS. You see, when the MDC had this homegrown structural adjustment program that they like to flaunt, it appears we reach at the end of our time. We're very happy to be with you back. We wish you the best for 2023, and we hope to sit down and exchange ideas and have discussion with you. If you hear at any time we say things on the radio that is not true, we want you to challenge us, and we want you to do research. My program is to provoke discussion. You don't have to be a big educated person to research. And when you do research, it's not to go and do a thesis or a paper, but for the courage of your own conviction. And we encourage you to express yourself. You don't have to swallow the grammar book to express yourself. Express yourself any way you could. Let us be peaceful. Let us spread joy. Let us respect one another. And let us do what we could to respect the elderly and encourage the children to do well in school. Thank you very much.